So I am basically, well, I'm sick right now, but I'll come out here and put one part on till I basically get dizzy and, stop. But part of the time I did get my control arms on. I have my upper ball joints in, got my lower control arms on. Still need to press the bottom ball joint in. Now I'm going to do something a lot of people don't like to do, but I'm going to cut my coil springs. And before you're like, you can't do that because they are squared. And what that means is the pigtail touches. I have a friend of mine who has oxygen acetylene torches, and the proper way to actually cut a spring that is squared is, so when I cut this straight up to this one, and then we're going to heat the spring about right here, and then collapse it to be square again. Now, the way you do this without destroying your spring is you put the rest of the spring upside down in a bucket of water. So when you heat that one point, it doesn't affect the rest of the spring. Now, yes, it does make that one point weak, but it's not going to affect your ride at all. It's done so much. I mean, literally so much. This one is the actual driver's side one from this truck. You can see this is off the drop truck that I took the spindles off of. This is off the blue truck that I'm putting the springs and spindles on. This spring is actually, it looks thicker, but it's not. It's just dirty. But I'm going to use both the springs off of the drop truck. Cut, bend. Same way on the other spring. Then after I do that, I'm going to clean them, and I'm going to paint them with oil-based blue. Sorry, it's up there. I have to clean and paint my sway bar. I have to pull the tie rod adjusters off of that and the drag link to go back on the other new stuff. But as for now, I am going to cut this spring and the other spring that I have on the other side of the garage. Well, I've power washed her several times already, and now I've got the coils off and the intakes off, and you can see, I mean, there is just sludge and muck for days under here. Looks like a couple of these gaskets weren't sealing anymore. It's a good thing to find out now. You can easily replace them. You can tell a good seal, like you can see the whole cathedral port around them back ones. But when it starts getting like in this area, where it looks like stuff's been blowing by, this one's sealed good, that one's pretty good, that one's a little rough, good. Little rough. This one was a little rough, that one was pretty good, so all that stuff's to be cleaned. I've done stripped off alternator and everything. There is a ton of muck coming out of the steam ports. In fact, it is completely clogged. So I'll probably take all that off and clean it real good. I'm probably going to pull the valve covers and loosen up all of the lifters so that way it closes all the valves. And then I'll spray this down with oven cleaner and let it sit, and then power wash it again, blow all that stuff out. Yeah, it's a mess, but I had to take this off so I can get it up in the air on the cherry picker, so I can clean the block and get it ready for paint. I'll probably take the water pump off too, so I can get back behind it real good. Water pump looks fairly new, so it should be fine to keep. I'll smack my finger. But I don't have a dipstick, so I can't tell the status of the oil in it, which it'll get drained anyway. But I just want to see if it's milky, which that dipstick not being there, and I've power washed it a bunch of times, it probably is a little milky. Yeah, but if you get water down in here, what you're going to have to do, if you don't have your valves closed, you will have to pull all your spark plugs, crank the engine over, so that way it shoots water out the pistons, out the spark plug holes. Because if you don't, you'll hydrolock the engine and you will 100% positive bend a rod. But I also think I have to change this, which is the oil pressure. There's one that comes with the kit of the new gauges I got, so I'll probably put it in there. And the water temp sensor has to be changed too. But I'll pull these valve covers. I want to see what they look like in there anyway. See if it's a clotted mess, if it looks like the engine's been, you know, because somebody can service the engine and keep the internals clean, and the external would look like crap. So I definitely want to see what's in here real quick. So some more stuff came in. These are the 5-inch axle flips for the rear, and these are also the drop shock brackets. These are all from Street Rays on eBay. Well worth it. These were $50. These were $37. Like, they're cheap with these. If you happen to be able to get your, U-bolts off your rear end without breaking them and can reuse them, you don't need to get new ones. Just have to use those. With these, I don't have to get drop shocks on the rear, and drop shocks are really stupid expensive. So for $47, you save over $100 for sure. And considering I'm using drop spindles, which don't change my geometry of the front, which are hanging over there, I don't know if you can see it, and I'm only using a 2-inch drop spring, I also don't have to run drop shocks on the front. So better ride, cheaper, million ways to do this. Now if you were doing, let's say, a like 6-7 drop, which would be, I mean, you're on the ground, yeah, you're gonna have to run drop shocks. But with the stuff like this, 4.5 in the front, 5 in the rear, don't have to run drop shocks. Alright, so all of the lifters are loose in there to close all the valves, and I've got the cylinders full of oven cleaner and LA's Awesome degreaser and oven cleaner, water pumps off, everything stripped basically to where I would like it, except for the crank pulley, which I would like to pull before I paint. But I have used a green household Scotch-Brite that won't scratch aluminum, clean it all, filled up the exhaust ports with oven cleaner and degreaser. Now, power washing time, part 5. I mean, I have done this 5 times, but I'm trying to get it super clean. I am getting some muriatic acid because that brightens up all of the aluminum. Then I'll have to just tape off the heads, the valley. I'm going to paint the timing cover because you don't see it anyway. I'm going to pull the starter, of course. It's not going to stay. Them trans lines got to be different, but I'm going to leave them on so that we don't get any water or anything in them. Transmissions stay in aluminum. Oil pan stay in aluminum. But everything else has got to get painted. The block, timing cover, pulley's got to get painted black. Valve covers are staying aluminum. I was thinking about painting them, but I'm not sure yet. But I have to remind myself to tighten them valve springs back up. Other than that, everything's good. So let's get the power washer out and go at it.